Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. You are listening to a rebroadcast of a previously recorded show.
We're live in the Miami Book Fair, powered by Life Improvement Radio, the Authors Corner of the Total Education Network, my website, totaltutor.net for more information, Twitter, Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook, LinkedIn, Neil Haley, Instagram, Total Tutor, Pinterest, Neil Haley, and Google+, Neil Haley. I'm with Eric Remmel from Life Improvement Radio. And I'm just scrolling down in our schedules because our schedules do change, but I'm excited to welcome the program author, Victoria Tennant. Victoria, how are you? And welcome to Authors Corner.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being on the show, and I think you were listening to some of our history of 4 years of amazing people, either pre-records or live, just promoting the most tremendous fair in the world. I mean, it's just... There's nothing like the Miami Book Fair, is it, Victoria? There's nothing like it.
Well, I already recognize a bunch of authors. I actually know friends in that, so I've been busy sending messages to them saying, "You're here. I didn't know you were going to be here. Can we get together?" It's great.
Oh, absolutely, Victoria. And as I'm looking at our schedule, I guess I thought I saw your name maybe for tomorrow in prep work. But so let's kind of get to what you'll be, first of all, doing at the Miami Book Fair. Are you going to be on a panel?
I'm going to do a talk, actually today at 2 o'clock, with Rhonda Garelick, who wrote a biography of Coco Chanel, called Mademoiselle. And my book is called Irina Baronova and the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo, and it's about my mother. And so each of us is going to talk individually, and then we'll talk together.
Quite interesting. Is this your first book you've written, or you've written other books before this?
No, this is my first book. I've written movies. I've written screenplays that have been made into movies, but I've not written a book before. And this sort of happened accidentally. I was not setting out to write a book. I was setting out to catalog my mother's papers after she died, and I discovered, I didn't know that they even existed, there was over 2,000 photographs from 1915 to 2008, and all her correspondence going back to 1926. And I was trying to sort it out and catalog it before it was sent to the New York Public Library to go into the archives. And while I was sitting on the floor with all these photographs spread out around me, I thought, oh my gosh, this is a life in pictures. This is an incredibly well-documented life of a great artist, a great ballerina, who worked with astonishing other artists, of painters and choreographers and musicians. I thought, this is a life in pictures. There's a book here. And so I started to make the book.
How long did it take you to actually write the book, Victoria?
2 years. 2 years, because it was a little more complicated than I thought. There was quite a lot of research that I did, and I discovered that I needed additional images that I had to research in outside libraries and archives and museums to add to the treasure trove that I already had. And so this book has over 330 images, some of them full page, really big, all the way through, with the memoir and the two voices, my voice and my mother's voice, intertwined. My mother's voice is written in a copper print, and my voice is written in a black print, and it's storytelling, it's conversation. It's included letters that she wrote me and that I wrote her, and the transcript of an oral history interview that she made for the New York Public Library in the 1970s. And so it's very conversational. It's not lecture-like. Although there's a lot of ballet history and there's a scholarly aspect to it, it is like, having a cup of coffee and sitting in someone's living room and having a chat.
Definitely. Now, you said it took over 2 years to write the book, and you had to do some ongoing research. Do you think you learned, or did you learn some more about your mother, or a different viewpoint or perspective during this process?
Yes, I did, and I had a greater appreciation for her life and for her art and the hardships of her life. She had a very hard beginning. The family escaped from Russia during the Russian Revolution, when people were being horribly murdered and tortured, and they'd lost everything. Everything had been taken away from them, and they were about to be killed, and they escaped during the night, and they ran for the Romanian border, and they ended up in Romania as illegal immigrants with nothing, with the clothes they stood up in, completely destitute, with an 18-month-old toddler, my mother. And the first job my grandparents had was playing a piano and a violin in the little village cinema for the silent movies. And they lived in the slums behind the factories, and my grandfather worked in the factories, and he washed cars, and he cleaned offices, and he did engraving by night just to feed the family. And from this poverty, the illegal immigrants and the poverty of their beginnings,
Yes.
through my mother's talent as a dancer, they came to have this extraordinary life of traveling with the Ballet Russe and being involved with the greatest artists of the century.
Wow.
That's fascinating, Victoria. And I think when you look at specifically the life of a starving actor these days, or a starving performer compared to the time then, this is their last shot. Being a successful ballerina could have been the only way out of the slums, right? In so many ways.
That is completely true. It was, and my mother was 7, 8 years old, and her parents just gave everything to the chance, not the guarantee, but just the chance that this was a way out, by devoting themselves to her life and her career and her chance for a better life, and they threw their lot in with hers completely as a way out of their destitution. And she was spotted by Balanchine in a Paris ballet studio when she was 12 and invited to join the new company, the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo. And her parents said, but she's 12, she's still in school, and they were talked into it. So she left school forever and completely at the age of 12, and joined the ballet company, where she was immediately a leading ballerina in the ballet company at the age of 12.
Wow.
Very unusual. I mean, unusual today, but also unusual for those days. Very unusual, but the world was upside down, Paris was full of these starving Russian refugees from the revolution, many, many dancers. No one had any papers. There were no birth certificates. There were no passports. There was nothing. I suppose they could, on their work permits, just put any age they wanted, because there was no proof.
No, definitely no proof, and they had to figure out some way of getting around specific things.
That's right. They were given temporary papers called Nansen papers in order to cross European borders, because they had no passports or other papers. And then when World War II came, everyone left for America, because those temporary papers no longer worked. If Europe was at war, you could no longer cross borders. So they got out on the last ship from London to New York, and took 11 days to make the crossing, zigzagging to avoid the German submarines. And for the 6 war years, my mother was based here in America and ended up with an American passport, and her parents lived on Long Island outside New York. And she became a founding ballerina of what is now American Ballet Theater.
Do you think from that performing background that motivated you to be an actor? An actress?
Well, it was definitely normal, instead of having to tell my parents about an unusual profession that was outside the realm of their knowledge or experience. Show business was my family business. My mother made movies and did plays and musicals and was a huge star in the ballet, and my father owned the great theatrical agency in London. So this was the family business. So it was kind of normal and almost expected that I join it in some form or other.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that being able to do this and write this book must make you feel really good inside. Once it was finished, and you get to share that with people and have those memories live on.
It's so exciting, I can't tell you. It's my last gift to my mother, whom I adored, and it made me feel close to her after she died in a way that I was able to deal with the loss and still be with her in some form for, 2.5 years. And her story is such a great story. Even if you don't care about ballet, you don't know about ballet, you're not sure you're even interested in learning about it, her life story is so interesting that it's a human story. It happens to be about a dancer, but it's a human story that I think anyone would find exciting and moving. The spirit, and the heart of it. And it was very thrilling for me to go through this new experience of trying to make a book about her, and then to find that there was actually a publisher who wanted to publish it. Beyond exciting. And they did a beautiful job. I made the book and it was finished before I showed it to anybody, and they took it as is, and they made a beautiful cover for it. And then, here I am in places like the Miami Book Fair. This is so exciting and such a privilege for me. I'm so grateful for the whole thing.
It's a tremendous experience, and Erica, a tremendous story for sure, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. Do you have any other future books after this planned, or is this kind of a one-hit thing?
Well, I think that there's a documentary and a movie in my mother's story based on the book, and I'm pretty sure there will be both. And I'm writing the movie, and next book, I don't know, maybe I'll attack myself.
Are you gonna any hopes of starring in the movie, or you just gonna plan on writing?
Oh no, I don't think so. I could play an old teacher or something. Mikhail Baryshnikov, the great dancer who lives in New York, is interested in helping make the movie and helping to organize the ballet part of it. And he thinks we should actually find some Russian girls. And probably the movie would be filmed in France, I imagine, because that's where most of it took place.
That's exciting.
Yeah, very.
And for our listeners out there, tell us your background as a successful actress yourself. What types of stuff have you done in acting for our listeners, so that they understand that that's out of your comfort zone? I was going to say it's getting out of your comfort zone from acting to now writing in so many ways.
Well, I have to tell you that it's actually much more in my comfort zone to be doing a book tour talking about my book about my mother than it is to be doing a movie press tour talking about yourself, and your work. It's much more comfortable for me to talk about my mom. Well, I think the American audience would probably be aware of my work from two big mini-series, The Winds of War and the sequel War and Remembrance, where I worked opposite Robert Mitchum. That was a very big American job, and a couple of movies that I did with Steve Martin, L.A. Story, and All of Me. That's probably the stuff that your listeners would most know.
Yeah, I'd have to go search back into those things, Victoria, but I'm sure listeners definitely listen to this program would. Working with Steve Martin, is that interesting? Because he's a genius.
He's brilliant, yes. Very interesting. He is brilliant. He's a brilliant man, a wonderful man. And it was, a terrific experience. And Carl Reiner, who directed All of Me, a great writer and comedian himself, and great talent, and such a wonderful, beautiful person. Great privilege to work with him. And the writer who wrote All of Me, who's one of my best friends, Phil Alden Robinson, who subsequently wrote and directed Field of Dreams.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful life experiences and life changes and things from doing these jobs.
Absolutely, Victoria, and it's something. Show business is something that you'll never want to end, and now it's a different type of showbiz, going out promoting a book, and then with the documentary after that, and all these other great things.
Well, it's storytelling. It's all telling stories. This is just a different way of telling stories, but that's what it is.
And fair to let you know, as we told you, Victoria, this is impromptu. You weren't scheduled for today. Emmy and Golden Globe nominated actress she is. Mm-hmm. So very, very talented. Now talented, writing books as well. Victoria, do you look to write any more books after this? Does this give you that bug to say, I'm going to write some more?
Yeah, it would be great. I mean, if I can come up with something, it would be absolutely fantastic. This has been a wonderful experience from start to finish, and I know that I'm very lucky. I would love to. I'm a fairly solitary person, and so being alone in a room all day writing suits me. It suits me well. I like it.
Especially when you had to be so out there as an actress. You had to, Victoria, isn't that true?
Well, yeah,
14, 16-hour days on the set, 18-hour days on the set, and constantly, pretty much, you're eating and breathing acting. This is a different thing where you can have that seclusion to be creative, right?
That's right, and also I have a different life now. I'm married and I have 2 children, 2 teenagers, and I'm a full-time mom. I put 3 meals on the table every day. I cook dinner from scratch. I do the laundry. I keep the home straight. I drive the carpools. I'm a soccer team manager. I'm at every practice and every game. And I write in between doing all of that. I can't be on a movie set 18 hours a day for months and months and months. I can't do that anymore. I'm lucky that I'm able to say that I have something else that has taken priority. I'm a mom. And so the writing works very well with the obligations that I have in my job as a mom.
I think you need to write your memoir next, Victoria. Yeah,
I could. I could because, I was given my first camera when I was 10 years old, and I've recorded my life ever since. And I have gazillions of albums starting from my very first camera that somehow I've still kept. So it would be a very good photographic memoir to do, And I've been lucky. I've met and worked with some very, very interesting, talented people. So it would be a fun thing to do.
Well, and then you'll be back to my book fair, back on my show and Eric's show. Eric,
wouldn't that be cool?
Exactly. Well, we're going to definitely stay in touch. Eric, it's interesting learning about Victoria's background, isn't it?
No, it really is. And there's a lot of culture and a lot of history there, and I think a lot of that's missing in today's society. So I think it's going to be great, and can't wait to pick up the book and check it out.
Thank
All right,
you.
where's the best place, Victoria? Where's the best place we can find information on you and purchase your book? Where can we go?
Oh gosh,
where's the best place?
Well, I mean, any bookstore, I guess. I mean, am I allowed to say the words Amazon?
Absolutely, yes.
Also, bookshops. I'm a huge reader and a huge supporter of a local bookshop. If you have a bookshop that's local to you, help it keep going by buying your book there.
Definitely, that's the thing. The lifeblood is these independent booksellers that truly see the love of books and understand it, and they're doing it just to keep this genre going. So awesome talking with you. I'm going to use this interview for my celebrity show in a couple of weeks as well, because I have a internationally syndicated celebrity show as well, and it was great to catch up with you and learn about you. So thanks again for calling.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Okay, bye-bye. You're listening to Author's Corner, powered by Life Improvement Radio, the Full Education Network, and we'll be back in 2 and 2.
Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own and shall not be construed in any way as advice from Life Improvement Radio. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, or editors will always be presented as such. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the expressed written consent of Life Improvement Radio is strictly prohibited. Thanks for listening.